Welcome everyone to the School of Radiance podcast. I'm your host, a humble human on a mission, here to help you both look and feel your best. In today's episode, we are going to be talking about stress management. This is a live recording. We have AS here, we have Elizabeth, we have Eunice, Jennifer, Tamara, and a number of others tuning in to the replay of this live class, all on managing stress. I asked actually my girlfriend Christy, who I do med spa marketing with, what should I talk about today? What should I talk about in this week's live recording on the show that people really need to hear about now? And she said, you should do a podcast or an episode on stress. I have a number of other podcast topic requests already queued up from a number of you. So stay tuned for some more on demand content and episodes coming soon here on the show. Thanks everybody for your ongoing emails and support and warm words of encouragement. I see you. I'm grateful for each and every one of you. Super grateful for the community here, and finally launching the Always Radiant skincare line. It's happened. So let's talk about stress. Let's talk about stress, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about, it's kind of a reference to the song. I'm being a little bit cheeky here because I'm going to be talking about something at the end of this, because I would be totally remiss if I neglected to talk about one key component and one key strategy to reduce stress. That's going to be not so much PG rated element, as you can imagine where that might go. But let's talk about kind of what's going on. A number of you tuning in are from the California area, and you've been dealing with a lot of fires. My heart goes out to each and every one of you. There's a ton of you who tune into the show and have been longtime clients of mine who are in the California area, as well as lots of practitioners who I've taught over the years that are based kind of in the hub of the medical aesthetics plastic surgery world, which is California, Silicon Valley, Beverly Hills, all these, Hollywood. And when an environmental thing happens like smoke, it's so incredibly frustrating, especially when you take such good care of yourself. And I can empathize with a number of you who are maybe dealing with more environmental toxins like smoke in the air, because here in the Pacific Northwest, in Canada, on Vancouver Island, where I'm born and raised, over the last probably 5 or 6 years, the forest fire smoke has been so bad here. And I remember in the summertime, there was a week when it was just terrible. And it was during renovations for me, big life shifts, launching things, moving things around in my life to make space for bigger and better things. And it was just a lot. And it was so much for me that I ended up getting a skin rash on my neck, which I've never had before. And I do all these things to care for myself, which you tuning into the show probably do too. You filter your water, you filter your air in your home, you reduce your exposure to electromagnetic frequencies and wireless cellular radiation by grounding outside, maybe hanging out on your PEMF mat in your home as well. And you are eating well, you're eating more protein, you're not eating processed or packaged foods, you're eating whole foods, you're drinking enough water. You're doing everything you can to stay in a peaceful, beautiful, grounded state. And then when something like forest fire smoke, or in the case of the California, Los Angeles area, homes burning, you're getting just this onslaught of environmental toxins and heavy metals and all sorts of things. Like, it's not just trees burning, it's houses burning, it's batteries burning, it's mattresses burning, it's cars burning, all sorts of things. So when we do what we can to live as pure as possible, which is really one of the foundations of being your most beautiful, radiant self, when something outside of your control happens, what do? For me, it's very frustrating. It's like, I do all these things, and then just around me, all these things are happening that are outside of my control. I'm trying to stay positive, but looking outside and just seeing orange, and you can't see 100 feet in front of you because the smoke is so dense. It just kind of makes me feel like a little bit frustrated, like very frustrated that, all these things are happening. But this is life. This is life. There's going to be things that you end up being exposed to or around that you kind of wish you didn't have to go through. Let me know in the live chat here if you're picking up what I'm laying down. This is life. So, how do we deal with this? When kind of life gives you lemons, although I love lemons, I actually just made some fantastic rice to go with my salmon tonight with lots of lemons. You make lemonade. And one of the key ways to overcome stress is to consume adaptogens to support your adrenals. Your adrenals sit on top of your kidneys. And when you're really stressed out, your adrenals take a bit of a hit. And this can deplete your minerals, this can deplete your salt in your body. So, if you're going through something, really make sure that you're continuing to exercise and move your body. Make sure you're continuing to eat enough foods because sometimes, some of you tuning in here, if you have been an intermittent faster for a long time, you might think, okay, I'm going through a hard time, a little bit more extra stress, I'm going to do a fast. I would say that that's actually the worst time to do a fast because when you're already in a state when there's something happening in your life that's out of your control, doing a fast is basically kind of another form of stress on your body. Now, intermittent fasting, 24, 48-hour fast, or like the week over a week long fast that I did, it is a form of stress on the body. Some forms of stress are really good for us because they stimulate a process called hormesis, which then stimulates autophagy of senescent cells, otherwise known as zombie cells. It's kind of like pruning the leaves off of a tree so that the tree can make better foliage or better fruits for you to eat, like lemons. So, when you're going through a bit of an extra stressful time, I don't recommend adding more stress. I don't recommend adding more fuel to the fire that your mind is already like, oh, and an example like smoke, you're just getting an onslaught of further environmental toxins, which is a stress on the body. It's going to fill up your toxic bucket, if you will. So don't fast. If you're going through a stressful time, I don't recommend fasting because when you're fasting and your blood sugars are maybe a little bit kind of all over the place, that's going to make you feel even a little bit more anxious. So if you are going through a little bit of a tough time, what I want you to do is really focus on fueling your body appropriately. So making sure you're getting enough carbohydrates. Some of my favorite forms of carbohydrates are cauliflower. So I'll do my famous meat lovers cauliflower pizza, or I will have rice, or I'll have honey, or I will have dates as good sources of carbohydrates. I don't have potatoes or sweet potatoes or things like that. I will have sourdough bread, but give your body carbohydrates. And honey and dates are a great way to give your body a little bit of sugar. Dates are shown to not spike your glucose. There's some research with diabetics that consume dates, and it doesn't have this blood sugar destabilization effect. So do continue to fuel your body and have enough protein. Ladies and gentlemen, 1 gram to 1.5 grams of protein per pound of body weight is what I've been doing for the last year, and the results speak for themselves. And this will give you a little bit of a sense of control, even when life is life and stuff around you happens, right? And other things that can happen that you might pick up on, because a lot of you tuning in here are very empathic and intuitive, because the more clear and pure we are in the way that we live, we're going to look better, but we're also going to be thinking more clearly. And for those of us who are a little bit more sensitive to our surroundings, we are empathic, we kind of pick up on other people and how they feel, and that can negatively affect us. So having that quiet time, reading your Bible, reading your favorite book, journaling, getting out in nature. I know if it's smoky, it's hard to do, but do find a way to ground your body. So I have the Leela Quantum block behind me, which you can find on my biohacking page. The Somavedic is also a great piece of technology that I have right over here. The Somavedic and the Lila Quantum, they just help to create more coherence around you in regards to, say, the sine waves, because the wiring in our homes, they can actually kick off this electric field that makes the sine waves around you be kind of garbled. And when we're out in nature, we're getting more coherent sine waves that the body loves, and doesn't disrupt energy production in our cells, like the mitochondria that makes our ATP, which is the energy currency of the body. I also really love the idea of, if you are just feeling like a little bit kind of extra, to sit or lie down on your PEMF mat, pulsed electromagnetic frequency mat. So there's the bond charge or the higher dose option. Those are two great options. The bond charge makes like a smaller seat, a smaller kind of square PEMF mat, so a little bit more affordable. And I sit that on that all the time. It's just a great way to, I find, relax my nervous system. Taking a bath, that's a great option too. And I know it's kind of funny that I mentioned, not funny, but the forest fires, but candlelight actually in the evenings is just very soothing for the system too. Maybe have some warm tea. And if you're looking for something to drink that will actually support your adrenals, I love the Organifi Pure formula. It tastes just like hot water, honey, and lemon, and it contains adaptogens, which help support your adrenals and help your body overcome stress. So consuming adaptogens are a really great strategy to just have all the time, so that when your body experiences a little bit more stress, your body has these adaptogens that are going to help to protect and support your adrenals, so that you don't deplete your mineral stores, which are really important to maintain. So making sure you are getting enough minerals, such as magnesium, that's going to help your muscles stay relaxed. So even taking like a Epsom salt bath, for example. But just a quick note here, with your Epsom salts, make sure that there isn't anything else added to the Epsom salts. Just buy the straight up Epsom salts from your local pharmacy or chemist, and make sure there aren't any added fragrances or things to it, like just straight up magnesium sulfate. Couple of cups of that, like 2 cups in a bath. Just relax, read your book, light a candle. One of the other things I love to play is frequency music. So just go on YouTube and type in 432 hertz, 432 HZ, and those are really beautiful, soft sounds to just kind of have, like, create your own spa if you can. Some of you might have kids, so this would be something that you could do in the AM or the PM as start. I would recommend doing it in the PM as part of your wind down routine. I really like heat if I'm feeling a little bit kind of on edge a little bit or a bit stressed out. I find just heat soothes the system. So heat is a little bit more feminine. It's the yin energy in accordance with traditional Chinese medicine. And heat is just very calm. It makes us just feel kind of cozy and supported. Cold is a little bit more yang, and that's a bit more of the masculine energy. So it is about balancing these two energies, the masculine and feminine, with the hot and the cold. I actually had one of my previous traditional Chinese medicine practitioners teach me that back when I was doing way too much cold exposure. Is a little too much on my body, but it was really important for me to do to heal and get some recovery and inflammation reduction after two pretty intense car crashes and whiplash and all sorts of stuff. Let me know in the chat any comments, anything that I've mentioned that you'd like me to expand on, any questions you have. And this is an okay time to be vulnerable here, because the reason you're here live is you have the opportunity to actually ask questions. And a question that one of you might have here in the community that's tuning in live to this recording might really resonate with more people than you think. And a question that I may answer here could support not only you, but also others in the community as well. And I know this might sound like a little bit fluff, like take a bath, make sure you eat enough, consume enough adaptogens. I really like the Organifi Pure formula. And you can also find that on my biohacking page with with a special link and a code to save you some money. I mean, this stuff sounds a little bit more good to, like, too good to be true or too simple. But it really is. One of the things you also want to do if you're feeling a bit extra stressed is to go easy on the caffeine intake, and don't numb out with, say, alcohol or just mindless movies. I would much rather you, say, consume an adaptogenic drink rather. So, sorry, I'm not sure if that got cut off there. Like the pure formula, maybe some warm soups, some warm rice, just like something that's going to warm you from the inside out, and something that's going to relax your mind. So if you're going to watch something, maybe watch like a relaxing documentary or something like that, or tune into the School of Radiance podcast and learn to do things that are constructive when maybe you are going through a tough time. So if you are dealing with this extra environmental stressor like the fires in California, consuming binders is something that could be helpful. I really like the bulletproof charcoal binder product. And what binders do is you take them orally and they just help to bind to toxins in the body. And getting in the sauna or sweating in the bath or sweating in the sauna or sweating in the gym is a good way to actually detox through the largest organ of your body, which is the skin. So detox, detox, detox. Do make sure you're drinking enough water. Do make sure you're replacing your electrolytes. One of the things that I've experienced if I fasted too much because I thought, oh, I should stimulate some autophagy, it's going to help my body through this, is I would get a little bit jittery if, say, for example, I was walking or going downstairs. I feel kind of like my balance was a bit off. And that was related to my blood sugars were, I needed more sugar. And the other thing is sleep. You really want to be prioritizing sleep. And when you're going through a little bit more of a stressful time, you might feel like you just want to take a nap or you just want to lay in like a dark room with minimal stimulation, like earplugs, having an eye mask on, and just kind of cozy up in the covers. One of the things I really like about my bed is I have the 8 sleep, and the 8 sleep does temperature regulation between your side and your partner's side. And it will actually auto detect which temperature is optimal for you when you are getting light sleep, deep sleep, REM sleep, a great temperature for you to fall asleep to and wake up to. Temperature while you're sleeping is really, really important. And where I live, we don't have air conditioning. So I like that it keeps me cool in the night. And then I also don't even have to use heat in my bedroom either, because we want to be sleeping in a room that's about 68 to 72 degrees or about 17 degrees Celsius. And then the mattress will actually just make sure I'm sleeping at the right temperature. So you might find when you're going through a little bit of extra stress, to help manage that is to get enough sleep. The other thing is work out and move your body, because sometimes we just have this like pent up energy. I know I felt this kind of at the end of my work day, that I just want to take a nap, I just want to lie down. Well, actually, what I found is if I move my body for anywhere from 45 minutes to 2 hours at the gym, lifting heavy weights, stretching, doing a little bit of cardio, getting in my body. So when I'm lifting up these heavy weights or I'm doing sprints on the treadmill or stretching, there's nothing else for me to focus on except being in my body. And we tend to forget about just how important physical fitness is. I can preach from the mountaintops to filter your water, purify your air, reduce your EMF exposure, to eat the right foods, to detox. But if you're not fueling your body appropriately, and you're not moving your body to expel that excess energy and grounding your body on the earth or with a PEMF mat, you're kind of wasting your time, because the simple things are actually the best things. Now, the other thing I want to talk about is this concept of co-regulation. You will know that there are some people in your life who you hang out with and you just feel so good, right? Think of your girlfriend or think of your partner, where you are with somebody and you just feel so relaxed. You're just cool as a cucumber. And then there's other people that maybe you engage with and they tell you all about their problems. They talk about the problems and all the things that are happening in the world, especially around like election times and things like that. Like there's been some huge things in the States and also in Canada the fires, the world stuff, it never ends. This stuff is always going to happen. And what do you do? What do you do when, this huge piece of news comes out, or there's shifts, right, that can sometimes result in people being separated or divided? We want to make sure that we are, keeping up to date with things that are happening to a degree. And sometimes what can happen is when things are happening in the world, you kind of want to get all the facts, get it from the left side, get it from the right side, and form your own opinion. Or you're having conversations with people and this stuff comes up. You want to really kind of limit your exposure to information and give yourself, like, say, for example, a 15 to 30-minute window to get caught up with world events, right? World events are important because they impact our economy. But what I find is the people around us can get a little bit kind of jazzed up too. So it's sort of this fine, it's like this tightrope walk of staying up to date, staying connected, but also maintaining your own peace. And there's nothing wrong with having some time to yourself. I actually had quite a bit of time to myself this weekend. I went for a walk with my dear mom. Hey, mom, I love you. My neck was just hurting so bad. And I was frustrated because I couldn't be, my typical positive version. I couldn't look around because I was nervous to turn my neck. And there were some things that precipitated just like this little bit of extra agitation, which was pain. So for those of you who are, not exposed to the forest fire smoke or houses burning, goodness, this is just awful what's going on. But you're dealing with pain, for example, you have to develop this just mindset of, even when things are happening in your life, even when things are happening with your body, that you maintain your peace. And one of the best ways I find to do this is to out loud say things that you are grateful for. Get in some of that extra vitamin G, even if you feel like the world is falling apart or there's big things happening in your life. Find something to feel grateful for. Find something that is beautiful that you can place your attention on. That's why nature is so gorgeous, as well as like flowers and trees and plants and animals and things like that. Find things that bring beauty into your life, that are pleasing to your eyes, doing great acts, but not at the detriment of your own self-care. And one of the issues with a lot of practitioners and nurses and doctors and providers is that they kind of have this like bleeding heart. And if you're tuning into this and you're a mother or you're a father or you're just a good person in general, you want to help people. First of all, you do need to make sure that your cup is full before you help others. And, this is kind of a prime example here. I'm just getting real raw in this one. I don't think that this episode is one that I'll publish like on YouTube. I think this is just going to be a solo audio only podcast episode because I am getting like a little bit more vulnerable and off the cuff here. But right before Christmas, I was getting some groceries and there was an elderly lady who was disabled, and she was in the car with her son who was also disabled and just came from like a church Christmas service. It was really late, it was really cold, and she needed a boost. Her battery was dead in her car. And I thought to myself, you know what? It's really good to help people, especially around this time of year. And I totally forgot that I had just taken my car into the shop 4 days before because the check engine light was on for some diagnostics and stuff like that. But the light was off. So I was like, okay, I want to help this person. This is a good thing to do, especially this time of year. And I'm paying for it now because now I think I need a new battery or alternator because they, gave this lady who needed help a boost. And it's going to be more expensive for me to now fix my car when we could have just called BCAA. Hindsight's always 2020, but this is a great example of how sometimes you just want to have a bit of boundary around how you help people, how you serve people, how many people are calling you and telling you all their problems, Are you that person that people come to when they need help, when they need emotional support? A lot of you are probably saying yes to this. And I think of my dear mother who, everybody calls up and if they have a problem, they seek advice. I love you, Mom, so much. You're here live. And we have to put our care first for our body. Otherwise, what happens is we get adrenal fatigue, we get stressed out, and then kind of what happens is we get this dis-ease and we can start to feel discomfort. And sometimes the discomfort in your body is actually like emotional, energetic, and spiritual stress that happens and manifests in the physical form. So just some things to consider. And so there's nothing wrong, I think, with just taking time to yourself sometimes. Even when you have like pressing matters that are coming up, it's like, okay, what do I actually need to take care of? And what can I delay doing at another time when maybe my energy is a bit higher? And this is something that I've done over the years. As many of you know, I have my own business. I wear about 13 different hats in my professional life. And I'm there also for my friends and my partner and my family as best as I can be while doing all these things. And if there's one thing that I've learned is that when you're continually dialed in as much as you possibly can, your body, mind, spirit, energy, your self-care practices, your sense of community, living your purpose, maintaining your peace in your life, you can actually do more. And being dialed in is a key trait of high performers. Now, I'm not saying I'm a high performer by any means. However, if you were to look at the things that I accomplish, I do a lot. Writing a research paper right now. I teach other doctors and nurses. I have a business. I'm growing my team with incredible mothers actually behind the scenes in a way that's actually conducive to a pace of life that allows for balance and peace and family time. This can be done in today's day and age as, men and women working, doing different things, but it really is that balance. And so it's striking that balance, it's finding that balance in a way that works just for you. Now, when I mentioned the concept of co-regulation, notice those who you connect with, whether in person or virtually or on the phone or over text, who just kind of like you can kind of pick up on their energy and you get a little ramped up, you get a little stressed out, they tell you something and then you go offload it to your partner too and stress them out, even though they might have had a stressful day too. Like just kind of be really aware of that stuff. And then also notice who you can be around, what you can listen to, what you can do that tends to just give you this sense of calmness, this sense of peace. I want you to notice what I've just done with my voice. I've adjusted my cadence. I've reduced how many words per minute I'm using. I'm using a little bit more tonality in my voice. It probably sounds quite a bit more soothing to you. So, if you're feeling a little extra stressed out, what I want you to do is exactly what I've just done with my voice, because when I show up and I do these live recordings, it does ramp my system up, my nervous system up a little bit, which is why over the last couple of months I took a little bit of time off, because it is a little bit of an extra stress on my body and I just needed to have a good boundary around that and protect my own energy so that I could show up in other ways too and record these but not on video and not be live. So that's actually one of the easiest things that you can do to kind of hack your nervous system is to actually just slow down how you talk. Even if you feel like you have the weight of the world on your shoulders, I mean, pray to the big guy, that's what he's there for. Slow down how you're moving. Are you charging around in the kitchen? Are you walking really quickly? Are you slamming doors? Or are you, gracefully walking? Are you being very intentional with when you're putting things down on the counter, when you're closing doors, when you're closing cupboards? Your partner could potentially also be contributing to your nervous system getting a little ramped up, or even your kids, if they are charging around and moving about quite quickly and making lots of noise and kind of adding static to your nervous system and your space. So that's why sometimes it's great just to carve out a little place in your home where it's just for you, like a reading nook or a prayer nook, or just somewhere where you can just relax and listen to music, listen to this podcast. It might actually even be your car when you're alone in your car driving. And I just think that this is such a gift that you can give yourself, is just this time for you to be in your own energy and slow things down. And just notice how much better you feel when you slow things down. One of the easiest ways that you can tell if somebody's stressed out is what they're doing with their eyes, how they're moving their body. What is their body? What are their gestures like? Are they really closed off like this, or are they open and are they relaxed? And what are they doing with their fingers? What are they doing with their toes? Are they tapping? Are they fidgeting with their nails and their cuticles or their hair or with their clothing? These are all signs that somebody's stressed out. So I would be neglecting a huge thing if I didn't mention physical touch. Having hugs is so important. Placing your hand on someone's back or shoulder or hand, if they just need a little bit of comfort, can actually be one of the biggest gifts that you can give someone to help regulate their nervous system if you have the capacity to do so. And I'll never forget this. I was getting a sigmoidoscopy. I had some, gut pain. This was a long time ago. And I had a sigmoidoscopy, which required me to drink this gallon of, I don't even remember what it was. And I felt so terrible. And my sister was there. She took me to my appointment because I basically had to have a scope up where the sun don't shine and take a look at what's going on, right? This was, oh gosh, probably, I'm going to say 15 or 18 years ago, so long ago, but I felt ill. I felt terrible. And my sister was there to comfort me. Mom, you were probably sleeping, as being a night nurse for over 30 years. God bless you. And then I'll never forget, I felt awful. And I believe I was in nursing training at that time too. And I was having the sigmoidoscopy performed, and I was lying on my side. And this nurse, she could obviously tell I was really uncomfortable. And she held my hand, or she placed her hand on my hip or something. And I'll just never forget how comforting that was. And I can recall I was doing a treatment for someone, and as a nurse, a lot of people are around us who are going through a lot, and I'm picking up on this with the people I serve, and they just had this full-on somatic release around me, and so I just held her hand, and it was very calming with my own energy, and it was just really. It was quite a moment, because clearly this beautiful individual felt safe enough to actually release around me. I will say that afterwards, I really had to ground myself, because that was a lot of energy for me to be around. And it kind of is like this give and take. We can help soothe others, but we also need to be soothed ourselves sometimes. That's why hugs are so fantastic. And you've probably heard of the 7-second hug. This is just a great way to connect and ground with your partner, because when two people come together in a romantic partnership, there can be a beautiful, beautiful co-regulation that can exist. So our hearts give off this electrical field. It's called the torus field. It looks like a donut. Actually, the earth does too, which is kind of interesting. And when we are within 6 feet of someone else, we pick up on their torus field too. There's an exchange of energy. And then when you're hugging, you're getting this just soothing. Imagine like a child crying, the mother soothes or the father soothes the child, or a sibling, for example, or a caregiver. And it just it helps to soothe. So don't downplay the importance of physical touch. So, say, for example, you're single and you have a friend, um, give each other a really great hug. And I'll never forget this other instance. One of my girlfriends was going through a really hard time, and I had just gone through a really hard time myself, too. And had, great people look after me and things like that. And she was going through a tough time. And I'll never forget it. She was sobbing. She was like hysterical. And I just held her. I just held her, woman to woman, caring for this other beautiful human, just processing things. Again, an example of another somatic release. So the physical touch component, that is sometimes just one of the best gifts that we can give others if they're having a hard time. And then when you're doing something, it kind of builds up your confidence. Like, oh, I did something good for somebody today. Like, giving that lady a boost with her car, although, I probably have to replace my battery and alternator now. But I mean, that's okay. She really needed help in that moment. The other thing I really want to talk about is intimacy. And this is kind of going to get into a little bit not so PG, not so G, just so you know, like if you have kids listening. But some of the statistics for how often um, people in marriages are intimate every week or every month, like what some of the statistics are, like, say, for example, being intimate 1 to 4 times a week. I mean, my heart just goes out to these people that are in these kind of relationships, right? So, healthy amount, as per some dating coaches, is about 3 times a week for intimacy. And it's such a beautiful time for you and your partner to just connect and co-regulate and really build that connection, maintain that attraction in your relationship, especially with those masculine and feminine dynamics, and just give each other that comfort that, you're neither of you are alone in going through life and raising a family and overcoming obstacles. Like, you have each other as a team, as having an interdependent relationship. So the physical touch that is, non-intimate, can be more like friendly and comforting, like with friends or family, is great to have, especially if you're single. And then if you are in a relationship, it's like, really notice how your partner is. And if you are needing just some extra physical touch, just like say so. Be like, you know what? I've had a hard day. I would just love for you to hug me and ground me, kind of like help me co-regulate and soothe my nervous system. And sometimes we do have to ask for this. And that's just kind of like a thing that I can encourage you to consider, is just how much physical touch you're getting when you're extra stressed out. So that's kind of what I wanted to say about that. And the other thing is to just have fun, like do things that are fun, right? Like playing pickleball or going to the gym or reading a great book or listening to music or making music. These are things that I really love to do. And in my observation of individuals who are radiant and kind of extra beautiful, and they just seem to have a more fulfilled life. They have hobbies. And don't lose yourself. So when life kind of gives you lemons, turn it into lemonade, and just sometimes put on those rose-colored glasses in a way. And let me reframe that. There's good, there's bad, there's light, there's dark in the world. So even if things are really challenging, if you're going through a really challenging time, what I can encourage you to do is remember that there are also a lot of really good people in the world, and there are a lot of really good things happening in the world. We live in a world of duality. And so yin, yang, for example, up, down, left, right, north, south, east, west. So for every kind of like bad thing that maybe the news or social media is showing you or that you're hearing about, there's just as many good things that are happening that you just might not hear about. And you can make an impact in your life and the lives of those around you by also doing good things. Just make sure it's balanced, that you are also receiving good things, especially for women to be able to receive. I mean, in more ways than one from your partner, but being in that energy to be open to receive great things in your life, physical or non-physical, are things that you almost have to come to the realization that you are worth it, right? You're worth it. Doing your skincare, doing your makeup, doing your hair extra cute, putting on a cute outfit, taking time to yourself. These are great self care practices that are also going to help you out. So, if you are feeling like a little bit extra stressed out, I can actually encourage you to spend a little bit more time in your beautification routine. Spend a little extra time with doing your hair extra cute, put on a cute outfit, because I promise you, when you look in the mirror and you see yourself as this more presentable individual, as opposed to just like a top knot bun and sweatpants or a sweatshirt or something just kind of like slouchy, like a polyester frock that just hangs off you, put a little extra time and attention into the way that you look. Because when you go out in the world, maybe you're having just a terrible day, your emotions are all over the place, you're menstruating, you're in perimenopause, menopause, postmenopause, life is life, there's stuff happening in the world. I promise you, if you take a little extra time to improve your appearance with your makeup, your hair, your outfit, the way that you carry yourself, you will have people open doors for you or say, wow, you look so beautiful. Whenever I go out and I have this side braid, it's so cute. I was at the grocery store the other day, and there was this woman who was, helping put my food through the scanner and bag it and stuff like that. And she just gave me this warm smile. She's like, oh, I love your hair. And it's hilarious how just braiding my hair, people see it and they're like, oh, that's a beautiful hairstyle. Like, did you do that yourself? It's kind of like this cute conversation starter. I remember I wasn't having a great day and I just put extra attention into the way that I looked. And one of my colleagues said to me, he's like, you look so gorgeous today. That dress looks fantastic on you. That color looks great on you. And that really helped to elevate my mood too. So it's kind of this instance where improving your appearance is almost like a hack. It's like a hack to boost your mood. You look at yourself in the mirror, like, I look great. Sometimes we look in the mirror and we're like, oh, I don't look so good. You got to do something about that. You don't have to go through life with issues with your skin. There are lots of things that you can do to beautify yourself, to rejuvenate yourself, but really just start with the basics and make sure you're happy with yourself actually before even doing rejuvenation. Because there's sometimes where I've seen people who they come to see me for rejuvenation, but I can tell they're very unhappy in their life. Maybe they're going through a divorce or a family member just passed away, but they still want to do something to improve their beauty. And what I would say in that instance, if you're going through a particularly stressful time, is that it's actually not the best time to elect to do a treatment for rejuvenation, because your toxic bucket will be a little bit more full. I'd actually be more inclined to recommend that you lean into your self-care practices and empty that toxic bucket instead of, getting neuromodulators or fillers or laser surgery or anything like that. Maybe instead go for a massage with your RMT. I probably wouldn't do things like nails or pedicures because then you're going to be exposed to different toxins in the salon. And that's why I wrote my research paper on oxidative stress status and its impacts on skin aging, to provide this awareness to fellow practitioners that if someone is going through like a lot of stress, that's not really the best time to have rejuvenation done, because with rejuvenation can sometimes require a little bit of healing, a little bit of recovery, right? There can be some bruising, there can be some swelling. If we're doing laser, there can be some a controlled injury to the skin, essentially for collagen promotion or to reduce pigmentation and redness and things like that. So just really lean into your self-care and do rejuvenation when you're feeling really good. And while you're delaying rejuvenation, just eat well, exercise, spend your mental energy on things that are going to give you a return on your investment, whether you're learning something or you're just relaxing to some beautiful, calming music, or making your own music, or doing something constructive like learning something, or tuning into the School of Radiance podcast. So, in a nutshell, That's how you manage stress. You fuel your body, you move it, you do good things, you have space to have your own peace, you rest when you need to, and just remember that there are a lot of really good people in the world doing a lot of really good things. And you are hopefully one of those individuals who are adding just a little bit of extra brightness and positivity into the lives around you, and also make sure that you're getting that back, right? It's all about sending and receiving. If we send out too much love and care, we're not getting that equal exchange back. So it is important sometimes for you to voice what your needs are. So just a little tip here, especially if you're in a relationship, to learn what your love languages are. Learn what your love languages are, learn what your attachment style is. And I go through a lot of these more deeper emotional mental components in the School of Radiance membership, where I share, there's some other things I do as well, just to kind of stay grounded and relaxed, that I'm not really comfortable sharing that I do publicly, but make just a world of difference, allowing me to do all these 13 things that I do. That's not my personal stuff. That's just the professional things that I do, in order for me to actually show up on the show here too, and add this little sprinkle of positivity and light and brightness and radiance into your daily routine through tuning into the show here on the School of Radiance podcast. So thank you, everybody. This is probably, I have to say, the least amount of engagement I've ever had on a live call here for a recording of the School of Radiance podcast. And what I might be picking up on is that a lot of you are actually just really nervous to just put in the chat box a question about how to manage stress. And that's okay. That's okay. But hopefully there's at least a couple of nuggets from today's episode that are going to inspire you, that are going to help keep you grounded, that are going to help keep you on track. And remembering that for every bad thing you see, there's something good happening behind the scenes too. Hey, AS, question here. Can you please repeat the mattress you have? Yes, I have the number 8 sleep mattress. And you can find that on my biohacking page over at theschoolofradiance.com/biohacking. That's where you can find the Organifi adaptogens. That's where you can find the Lila Quantum Block, the Somavedic that I mentioned, the PEMF mats. So just, again, focus on keeping your toxic bucket as empty as possible, reducing stress at every front as best you can, moving your body, fueling your body, and really having a good sense of how much you can extend to helping others, and what would be really good for you to receive in regards to physical touch or words of affirmation or acts of service or gifts. Those are some examples of some love languages. So we're all a little bit different. But, I want to encourage you that we all go through hard times. We all do in some way, shape, or form. No one's impervious to life. And it's just about being resilient and being always ready through caring for yourself all the time, so that when a particularly tough time happens, you can overcome that obstacle with a little bit more grace and ease, and it doesn't show up on your face. You maintain a great body composition. You just have a real grasp on your emotional state. And if you feel like you're getting ramped up, you have learned a couple strategies here to ground you and keep you centered. Focus on really what your purpose is, what you are grateful for in your life. Focus on the beauty around you. Focus on the beauty of you. Focus on the fact that you actually have the technology to listen to this show, and that you found the School of Radiance podcast to keep you on track. Tamara, this was very helpful and worthwhile, Rachel. Thank you, and look forward to more sessions like this. Yeah, this is a little bit of a different one, that's for sure. But, Christy said you should talk about stress management. So here we are. Anyways, love you all so much. I hope you have a great, beautiful, high vibe, radiant rest of your day. Be good people, everybody. Be the brightness that this world needs more of for yourself, for your family, for those you are in contact with, and lead by example. That's really what my purpose is here on the School of Radiance podcast. And everything I do is to allow you to basically become such a beautiful, radiant human that other people notice you for all the good things that you do, right? And you lead by example. You set the example. People around you are going to notice, your kids are going to notice, they're going to pick up on good habits that you have. Somebody's always watching you, right? And so this is kind of like this legacy impact, no matter what you do professionally or personally, whatever. When you're a good person, people are going to notice. And then it might just inspire them to also be a little bit better of a person as well and make a positive impact. That's just a little bit about me and kind of what my purpose is here. All right, that's a wrap. Love you all so much, everybody. I'll see you again right here on the School of Radiance podcast.